Unfortunately, studies have shown that the average adult in the Western world spends 47% of their time not paying attention to what they're doing. Today, we're looking at the practical aspects and the benefits of staying mindful in our daily lives. How we can integrate meditation practice into most tasks that we face while working or performing chores of the day-to-day routine, in order to stay focused and productive, avoiding procrastination and feelings of restlessness, anxiety, and boredom. Meditation is not just sitting with the eyes closed. It's a practice that we can bring with us and put to good use at pretty much all times. A wandering mind is an unhappy mind, so let's find out what we can do about it. Hello friends and followers, and welcome back to Beyond Belief, where we, as usual, dissect aspects of the Buddha's philosophy and put them to good use in a secular format without religious ritual and dogma. My name is Alexander. I spend a lot of time on the topic of mindfulness and meditation, and I was once a Buddhist monk. Unfortunately, this doesn't make me an expert meditator or an enlightened being of any kind, but it has brought me an awareness of where the happiness and peace of mind really resides. By the way, keep the questions coming, because I'm already planning a second episode dedicated entirely to Q&A. I find that format to be very dynamic, and it's fun to be able to answer your questions directly. This is also a format that forms an important part of how the Buddhist philosophy was originally spread. And still to this day, in a monastic setting, almost all Dhamma talks are associated with the opportunity to ask questions, both for monks and followers, to investigate for themselves. So much of the philosophy is experiential and not something that necessarily needs to be studied in an academic sense. Therefore, one has to find a way of integrating everything into one's own practice, regardless if that implementation is monastic or, like in our case, in a secular, contemporary practice. There is a lot of very good research carried out around the scientific benefits of meditation. And much of that point to biological advantages of meditation in the form of increased neuroplasticity and a decrease in stress, which of course affects a lot of functions in the physical body, like an improved immune system and lowering risk of heart attack, for example. And that's all well and good. I mean, who doesn't want that? But my primary focus here is how we can concentrate on our state of mind and actively cultivate happiness and peace by not outsourcing our expectations and contentment on other people or external circumstances. So this brings us to a vital question. How do we bring that powerful, internally cultivated peace out of the quiet meditation and into the noisy, busy, demanding reality of daily life? The core answer lies in recognizing that mindfulness isn't one task that we do. It's a quality of attention that you bring to whatever you're doing. You don't need a special posture or a specific time or absolute silence. You just need to anchor your attention to the present moment activity. For us to truly conquer restlessness, anxiety, and boredom, we must learn to transform the mundane into the sacred. So, let's look at 3 practical ways to turn our daily chores into powerful, focused, mindfulness practice. And these are 3 examples that I have brought with me from my monastic experience and kind of translated into my daily practice. First up, let's talk about what I choose to call mindful movement. And this is a direct translation from the walking meditation that we do as monks. The problem is that most of us walk or commute completely on autopilot. Our legs are carrying us to the next destination, but our mind is already rehearsing for the arrival. That can be planning dinner or maybe obsessing over yesterday's small mistake. And this, my friends, is the wandering mind the studies show lead directly to unhappiness. The practice here is to turn your walking into a kind of moving meditation. Consciously kind of shift your attention and your focus to the physical sensation of the movement. Feel the weight shift from heel to toe. Notice that slight rotation in the hips or the gentle, consistent swing of the arms. And if you're on the bus or a train, focus on the gentle rocking motion and the sounds outside and the simple fact of your own breathing. If you are feeling stressed during a commute, shifting your attention from the anxiety-inducing concepts in your head to the simple concrete mechanics of your body actually dismantles the stress response right there. Another example may be savoring the moment while eating. And this is something that monks are very specific about. The problem here is that we often eat while scrolling through the phone or watching TV or trying to work at the desk. We consume without awareness. And the result is that we often don't taste anything and we feel disconnected from the food. And we finish the meal feeling neither truly satisfied or nourished. The practice is very simple. Before you take your first bite, just pause for a couple of seconds. Observe the food. Its colors, its textures, and its aroma. As you eat, commit to chewing slowly and thoroughly. I even recommend putting down your cutlery completely between bites sometimes. Notice the flavor evolving on your tongue and how the texture changes. The benefit in this practice is that it cultivates a deep appreciation and helps you listen to your body's natural signals of hunger and fullness. You become fully present for this essential life-sustaining activity. It is an antidote to mindless consumption. And finally, let's look at mindful work. And here I apply the 5-minute anchor. When we face a large, complex, or seemingly boring task, like sorting through a pile of emails or drafting a report, in those cases, my mind screams procrastination. And this is the seed of restlessness and boredom growing right there in real time. One smart way of dealing with this is to set a timer for just 5 minutes. And for those 5 minutes, you choose one specific small part of the task. And you commit to giving it your complete, unwavering attention. If your mind starts wandering into the past or the future, which it probably will, gently and kindly bring it back to whatever you're doing, to the sound of the keyboard or the letters on the screen. The benefit is that this completely overcomes that initial psychological resistance by anchoring your attention in the process of the work rather than focusing on the distant and often anxiety-inducing outcome. You dismantle restlessness and significantly boost both your focus and your productivity. Well, these three practices aren't just tricks for momentary relaxation. They're powerful tools for reclaiming your mind by extension, kind of bringing your attention to the now. Remember that study that I mentioned at the start? The average adult spends half of the time not paying attention. When we're not paying attention, we're either obsessing over the past or we're being worried about the future. And that obsessive, non-present thought is breeding restlessness and anxiety. By simply bringing mindfulness to a small act like washing dishes or waiting in line, we intentionally shift our focus from those conceptual worries to the concrete reality of the present moment. And this is where our power lies. This is where happiness and peace of mind truly reside. The ultimate goal isn't to be perfect. We will all wander. But to be intentional about bringing the mind back. And you've heard me saying this before. Start really small. Pick just one chore during the day. And this can be like brewing coffee or walking the dog or brushing your teeth. And commit to being 100% present for that task. That single moment is a profound act of self-care and a massive step towards contentment. With that said, let's meditate together for a few minutes on the topic of mindfulness. This is your essential, versatile toolkit, your emotional Swiss Army knife that you can bring with you at all times. Don't leave it on your meditation cushion for next time you meditate. As we sit down to meditate, we sit with the back straight and the feet firmly planted on the floor. We rest our hands on the lap. We close our eyes and we scan the body for any unwanted tension. We smile gently to bring a sense of peace and tranquility. We come to the present moment by paying attention to our breath. Here you can choose where you want to place your focus on the breath, as it can be beneficial to help you concentrate, to have a specific point for your observation. Pick the point where you feel your breath the most, whether that is on the tip of your nose or in the abdomen. It doesn't matter. We inhale without forcing the rhythm or intensity in any way. We just observe. As our breathing changes direction, we notice a small gap as we go from inhalation to exhalation. We are aware of the sensations in the body, and we enjoy the silence of the space that we are in. We can notice if there is a sound in the background or any smell in the air. We observe, but we don't analyze or consider its source. As a thought arises, we take note but gently return our attention to the breath. We follow the entire cycle of the breath from the moment it arises to the moment it subsides. We begin again and notice the next inhalation. Notice the constellation of sensations. If there is a mood, an emotion, or a certain feeling attached. We notice what the thoughts consist of, a picture or a piece of language. We bring the attention back to our breath and let the thoughts dissolve back into the space where they seemingly appeared from. There is no reason to change the experience because nothing can affect us now. We are simply aware of the sensations that we notice in each moment. We observe, but we don't engage. We let our thoughts go by without picking them up or investigating them in any sense. Just like there is a gap in the rhythm between inhalation and exhalation, there is a gap between the thoughts. We observe this gap, this fraction of a second where nothing exists. Create a global sense of the body. We are just here, right now. We make no effort. We're not trying anything. Not even to focus or relax. We just observe. We are just aware. We have found an inner space in the observation of the breath. The thoughts, just like life itself, just like the breath, they come and go. Don't take anything for granted. Don't believe what I am telling you. Don't believe what your own mind is telling you. As we open our eyes, we take a brief moment to consider something that truly deserves our attention. We are all different because we are all the result of a different set of circumstances. However, how we experience emotions such as anger, love, and compassion is something that we all share. And this is why there can be a universal cure in the form of the Eightfold Path. May all beings be well and happy. Alright, it's time for some Q&A. This week I've only picked out 2 questions that tie in with some of our previous episodes. But like I've mentioned before, if your question is not in this week's episode, it does by no means mean that it's been forgotten or overlooked. We'll soon have a second rendition of more general Q&A. Evelyn is asking, you mentioned that you remain agnostic on what happens after death, which makes sense from a secular view. But in daily life, isn't some speculation and planning essential? Where do you draw the line between useful planning and avoiding speculation that derails our practice? Well, absolutely. Planning is unavoidable. I mean, we have to schedule appointments, save up money for things, and think about the future. There is no doubt about that. But the Dhamma is not an instruction to become passive and thoughtless. I'd say that the line is drawn at attachment and control. Useful planning is taking skillful steps towards a known goal. Setting aside money, for example, is a skillful action. Derailing speculation, however, is when your mind jumps to an imagined future outcome and then starts generating anxiety, regrets, or expectations over it. In secular Buddhism, we should aim to practice provisional planning. We plan what needs to be planned, but we hold plans lightly, recognizing that they are impermanent concepts. Obviously, we avoid metaphysical speculation, like guessing about eternal rewards or punishments. The purpose of avoiding speculation isn't to stop thinking, it's to stop suffering over things that are purely conceptual and outside of our present control. Sophie is writing, if karma is only cause and effect experienced in this life, as you described, doesn't that make the practice fundamentally selfish? I'm only being good because it makes me feel better and reduce my suffering, not because I genuinely care about others. I'm aware that it can sound a bit like that. However, the practice is based on eliminating the 3 poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. These are the very mental factors that cause us to act selfishly and run the risk of harming others. If you are full of hatred, you suffer, and you make those around you suffer. When your practice is successful, you become a person who naturally acts with compassion and kindness. This is the practical result of non-attachment and non-hatred. You become, kind of by default, a safer and more loving presence in this world. The practice is recursive. My practice reduces my suffering, which automatically reduces the suffering you inflict on others. The ultimate goal of the Eightfold Path is fundamentally an ethical, altruistic goal that compels you to live a life that minimizes harm and maximizes benefit for all beings. It begins with the self, but in the end of the day, it is entirely oriented towards others. As always, if you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. If you want to speak with me directly, for whatever reason, you can pop an email to the address that appears in the outro. The Buddha said, "The mind is flighty, difficult to grasp. The wise person straightens out their mind as a fletcher straightens an arrow." Next week, we shall be looking at what it is that makes us who we are, or rather, what we believe that we are. Until then, remember that your happiness is all in the mind. Bye-bye.